Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Adiola. I'm a fashion designer. I'm passionate in helping others with their sewing journey. So if you want to learn how to sew, this is the right place to be. So I upload unique dresses and styles. So stay tuned always. This is the part 2 of the asymmetric cut together dress. So stay tuned and watch to the end. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is the sewing tutorial of this asymmetric cut together dress with gathers. So I'll quickly summarize the pattern drafting for the part 1. Remember, this is an asymmetric dress. So my shoulder measurement is 13 inches. I divided it by 2. I marked 6.5. My neck depth is 3.5 and the width is 3.5 also. Then my waist length is 16 inches and I added 3 inches extra for the asymmetric. I also added 5 inches for the runch effect plus additional 2 inches. So that is after my half shoulder measurement. And for the back pattern, I have my zipper measurement. The back neck width is also 3.5 and I took 1.5 for the depth. Now I'm going to be putting the pattern aside to cut out my dress. So I'll be using this particular fabric. I think is related to crepe. I'm not sure. So I wanted the mid green, but this shade of blue is also beautiful. So I'll be using this as my lining and my matching open and close zip also. I'll start with the lower part of the asymmetric. To refresh our memory again, for the front pattern, my full measurement, that is from my shoulder to below the knee, is 42 inches. So please work with the length you need from your shoulder to your knee length or above. Since I have my half measurement drafted out, which is 16 inches, alright? So I added 3 inches to it. So I'll add the two numbers together, which is 19 inches. Then I'll subtract the 42 inches from the 19 inches half measurement. So I'll be left with 23 inches. So that is the length of the pleated or gathers asymmetric. So this is what will be added to the upper part here. You will need to add half inch joining allowance. Also add your desired hemming allowance. So mine will be 1 inch. Now to the width, you can take the full measurement when you open up your pattern. So I have 23 inches measurement. So whatever measurement you have, you can multiply it by 3. So that will be the width in cutting the other down part. You must have sewn in the zipper and joined the front and the back pattern together before pleating or gathering your dress. So what your waist length is plus the 3 inches, you subtract it from the full length. Approximately, I'll cut out 25 inches. Now to the lining part. Since the fabric is a little bit thick, I'll cut out the lining to the sleeve length. Reason is because no joining of sleeve. So we need to close up that part. So I don't think it's necessary you cut out exactly the same length you have for your dress for your lining. This depends on the fabric you are using because this fabric is thick. Still on the lining, for the upper part of the shoulder, you can either cut it out exactly like this or runch it to fit your shoulder measurement. I'll notch it and start gathering it from there to the sleeve area. Or maybe after you've runched the main fabric, you can now use it to cut out the lining. My half length now is 24.5, so I decided to cut out 25 inches. So I'll use my chalk to mark out the 25 inches. So I'll go ahead and cut the 25 inches out now. I'll use this part I use for my scissors as the upper part. Then I'll use the down part as the hemming. So this is 2.5 yards. So I'm going to be pleating all of this to fit the upper bodice. I need to iron to straighten my pattern so I can get the actual shape and measurements. I've put this away for too long. I added 1/4 inch to the neck for joining, though it's not necessary. Then you're going to add half inch also to the shoulder, and here I added 1/4 inch for the sleeve joining to the lining. Okay, then the marking stops here, and I also added same thing for the other side. I'm going to go ahead and cut out the fabric using the front pattern first. So you need to spread your pattern while doing this. Take note, the 1/4 inch allowance is only on the side sleeve, not on the waistline to the hemming. Then notch your waist and bust area. At this part, follow the 1/4 inch line. So this is how to cut the front pattern. On the thumbnail, the asymmetric is on the right side. So this is the right side. But if you cut it out this way, just turn it over to the other side. And that includes the back pattern. So this is how you're going to be going about cutting the asymmetric. Take note of that. So it should be on the right side. But if you still want it that way, it's still fine. So here's the front dress. I'm about to cut out the back bodies. So the asymmetric lines for the two back pattern are totally different. The asymmetric on this side is different from the left side pattern. So I'll spread them and cut each out separately, not the regular back pattern. So this is how it will be. Alright. This is one part or side of the back, so place it on the fabric. So this is the complete back and the zipper will be sewn in. So this asymmetric here is different. The other one or side will be cut out this way. Also add half inch to the shoulder for joining and allowance to the neck area too. At this point, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and like my video. I'm going to notch the waist and the armhole area. I didn't explain this part for the front fabric. So while cutting, you can notch your half shoulder measurements. My shoulder is 6.5. So wherever yours is, you notch it before pleating the rest to fit your actual shoulder measurements. I don't want to get you confused. So this is the back. I just finished cutting the fabric. So this is how the back will be on the human bodies. So I'm going to be cutting the other back fabric. Please don't cut your fabric for the other side this way. So just watch out. The armholes should be facing each other. So here I am cutting the back pattern for the other side. So I'm going to notch the armhole line. I'm going to be cutting my lining next. You need three pieces for the interfacing. So for the facing, I'll suggest you might have pleated in the additional measurement of 7 inches before you cut out the lining. So here is the 7 inches on the shoulder line. Then mark it to the other side too. After that, take the runch measurement to fit the original half shoulder. After pleating, then you can cut out your interfacing. Fold your fabric in two. So I've added joining allowance. So I'm going to be cutting out exactly what I have on the main fabric. Then the lining will stop on the armhole lengths. I'll put the main fabric away and chalk it into a straight line. So I'm still contemplating using the same fabric as the interface. I hope it won't be too thick and won't relax after joining to my dress. Now I have the front upper bodies and the back upper bodies together. For the back, just put each part together like this. Then you go ahead and sew in your zip to the zipper allowance. Place the shoulder of the two back and the front bodies. After that, you sew the front and the back by your allowance. I use a pin to hold the front and the back together. Then after joining the two sides, then you gather the upper part of the dress to your width. So mine is 2.5 yards. Gather all except the zipper area. Then you sew the two pieces together by half inch. So the width must be the same measurement with the upper bodies, right? Then leave this part free and flat. I decided to use the same fabric as the interface. I hope it works. So you fold in your fabric, then the length of the interface stops at the armhole line here. I'll still go ahead and trim off the interface after gathering the shoulder, right? I'll use a chalk to mark where the length stops. Then I'll go ahead to cut the facing. So I can leave it this way. To join the runch neck, I decided to use some needles first. So on your normal pattern drafting without the allowance of 7 inches, I added to the shoulder. So my normal shoulder measurement is 6.5 inches. Using my pattern, let's recall that my shoulder is 6.5. So if I take away the 3.5 for neck width, which is this, then I'll have 3 inches left. So in total, that is 6.5 inches. So everything has to fall back to your actual half shoulder measurement minus the 7 inches. To get the actual slanted shoulder measurement, I'll explain with the basic bodice pattern to get that. So I should have the 3 inches when I'm done gathering the shoulder. I'll rule a straight line as my starting point. So the next thing I'm going to take is my neck width and depth of 3.5 by 3.5 inches. Remember, I took 3.5 by 3.5 in my pattern drafting. So I'll connect it together. So here will be my starting point. So my chest line is 7.5 inches. Then I'll repeat the half shoulder measurement here. So mine is 6.5 inches. So I'll mark it into a straight line. Then I'll come down by 1 inch. Remember in the pattern, I came down by 1 inch for the slope. Then I'll connect it to my neckline. I have 3 inches, so that will be the measurement that will be left after gathering the shoulder, alright? So in total, that is 6.5 inches. So use your pin to gather it into your own measurements. So knot your thread and insert into your fabric by 1/4 inch and gather it close to each other to get your desired measurements. Next, I'll use both sides to cut the interfacing. So I won't advise you do the same to your lining. Just use your main fabric to cut your interfacing. So I'll measure the shoulder line to be sure I have 3 inches. If not, I'll drag my needle to have the 3 inches. So you do the same thing for the other side. Stitch it with on your machine and you use it to cut your interfacing. Then you stitch by 1/4 inch. So here I have gone ahead to sew my shoulder. So I have 3 inches. So to cut out the interfacing, you fold your main fabric, you place your interfacing under it and cut exactly what you have. So I'm going to use it to turn my fabric and join the neck and the armhole. Then leave the shoulder part open. And for the back fabric, I'm going to gather the shoulder back to 3 inches also and use it to cut the lining. You can iron a paper stay on your fabric. So I'll go ahead to join the upper dress to the lower part by 1/2 inch. Then I'll join the sides by my allowance. I'll also attach my lining. I've gone ahead to runch the shoulder on both sides of the front fabric and also the back dress. So I also cut the interfacing for the back. Now that I've runched the shoulder, so it's a bit different now. So this is how you're going to be cutting the interfacing for the back. So close your neck and the armhole, but remember to leave the shoulder open. I've gone ahead to join the sides. So leave out your armhole parts. So I love the shade of blue. Then you repeat the same thing for the other side too. So your journey should stop here. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Leave the shoulder open for now. Now I'll go ahead to gather the 2.5 yards to the asymmetric. Then you're going to be joining by 1/2 inch. Then don't gather your zipper allowance. So mine is 1.5 inches. Also, I'll leave out 1.5 inches. Then I'll fit this into the upper part of the fashioned fabric. Then I'll hold my hemming, which is 1 inch. I also join my lining. I've gone ahead to sew it and here is what I have. So I'll lose this part. I want the pleats to come out more on the front asymmetric dress. So here's the back dress. I love the back already. So the zip is fixed halfway. So this is what is left. So I'm going to close the zip and join the other part by 1.5 inches. So I want the pleating for the back to be the same as the front. I have adjusted the pleating in front, so I'll still iron it because of the nature of the fabric. It's thick, so my iron will bring alive the pleats more. So a soft crepe is better to give it that flow effect on the pleats. So this one stands still. Though I saw a particular crepe, a brown crepe, but it will undertone the skin because so that's why I went for this. I've closed the sleeve by 1/4 inch. So this is the back. Then I forgot to add, make sure you snatch your waist, take out 1 inch from your waist so the hip will become more pronounced. It's come out pronounced. That's the beauty of this dress. Though I didn't do that, all right. So and you can use 3 to 3.5 yards. That will suffice for more pleats, for more pleats. So and cut off any excesses at the zip area and hem these parts. If you notice, one side is longer than the other. So the right side is longer, right? So to have it equal, you need to trim it off. It's because of the asymmetric. So to have it on the same line, you need to cut off the excesses. But I want mine exactly like this. Then remember to iron your sleeve properly. Back to the pattern to explain the asymmetric at the hemming better. On the right side is longer, so the left side is shorter. Remember, I added 3 inches to the waist on the left side, and on the right side, from the waistline to the hip, I have 7.5 inches. 7.5 minus 3 inches on the left, so you have 4.5. So just follow your pattern to get where you cut off. You know it's slanted, so it affected the hemming, so mine will remain the same. Notch the neckline and iron it properly. So I have my dress on the mannequin. So you observe this side is not as long as the other side. So if you don't want it, then you take out the excesses so it can blend together. I finish up with the zipper at the back and close the remaining parts to the up to the hemming. So this is where the zipper stops, alright? To join the sleeve, take the front part and the back and insert the front into the back fabric. Then bring it out from the wrong side and pull it out. Afterwards, make sure the edges meet or they align. I mean where the sleeve joining stops at before the shoulder. Then use your pin to hold it together by ½ inch. Take it to the right side to be sure everything is okay before you stitch it down. Then you take it to your machine and sew the shoulder together. Do the same thing for the other side. Tack the facing down for the front and the back. Then I'll also interlock every other part. Then notch the neck, the armhole, and the waist. This is the final look of the asymmetric dress. So I've ironed out the pleats. So this is way better. So this is the beauty of the dress. So your finishing must be as beautiful as your sewing. Here is the view of the back also. I love it already. So thank you for sticking around to the end. See you in my next one. Bye guys.